Hey everybody, welcome back to Whiteboard Finance. My name is Marco and I'm here to help you master your money and build your wealth. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the European energy crisis. Winter is literally coming. So if you've been following this at all, this is going to be a presentation that just highlights some of the things that are going on specifically in Germany and throughout Europe. The reason for this is if you've been following geopolitics or any of this stuff going on for a number of years now, this was almost able to be seen, but we'll jump in and show you all the actual numbers and facts here. So this is talking about German energy prices skyrocketing. Why is this happening? So this is the German one-year forward baseload energy price. This is basically an instrument used by suppliers and buyers to hedge for German baseload energy. It's denominated in euros per megawatt hour. So that's what these numbers are here on the Y2 axis. So if you take a look at this steady rise throughout 2021, this is actually showing that there was a problem brewing before the issues going on between Russia and Ukraine right now. So this is almost a supply chain breakdown for imported Russian gasoline, and it only gets worse, as you can see in February of 2022 when this conflict started. So even through the winter, it's expected to get much worse, as we're starting to see right here. So what has been going on in Germany that has led to this boiling point of having, 1,000% increase in 1 year? So if we move forward, this is how we start to figure this out. So the installed net power generation capacity in Germany, this is showing 2002 to 2021. You can see all the different types of capacity that they have installed in gigawatt hours, okay? So down here, you can see how since 2011, nuclear power is actually the smallest amount or starting to become the smallest amount. You can see hard coal. They're starting to shut down coal plants, but ironically, they're turning them back on for this winter, which we'll talk about later. Natural gas has stayed relatively even, oil, and then they're starting to actually increase the renewable resources. So 46% of the energy mix is comprised of renewables. Despite this, in 2021, far more energy was actually produced via Russian gas than wind and solar combined. Okay, so you can see that here. You can see that wind onshore is this number right here, 56.3. Solar is 58.4. And then we have Russian gigawatt hours of 497,475,000. So the reason for this is because unfriendly regulations for fossil fuels are starting to permeate throughout the entire European Union, specifically in Germany in this case, since basically the mid-2000s here. Despite heavy reliance upon them. So one of the perfect examples of this, and this has actually been a debate in the States now for a while, is either, adopting more nuclear energy power plants or shutting them down. You can see here in Germany, basically since 2011, they actually started to shut them down. So a quarter of the nation's electricity was nuclear until 2011 with 17 reactors. Nuclear energy was basically the little energy independence that Germany had. We're going to be talking about energy dependence and independence in this video. Now only 3 reactors remain, and they're actually planned to be shut off. So you can see the rapid divestment right there. So as moving forward, you can see how ditching nuclear made Germany dependent on foreign or import dependent on foreign energy. So this gray line right here, you can see the total electricity production by source. Fossil fuels obviously started to go down since mid-2000s, as we can see here. Renewables started to go up since mid-2000s, as we can see here. And then nuclear, basically since 2011, we have that big dip, and they're trying to get away completely from this for the most part. So what is happening? So after rapidly divesting from fossil fuels and nuclear energy, Germany is now 63% energy import dependent. So Europe is actually going to bear the pain this winter, and the whole crux of this video is going to get into how the European Central Bank may have to loosen monetary policy sooner than later just to prevent a massive recession because of energy prices. So now that we've talked about Germany, let's actually take a look at a couple other countries. So this is a tweet from Andreas Steno Larsen. If you don't follow him, I highly recommend it. He's been on Macro Voices a bunch of times and many other financial publications. So why do we keep talking about the energy crisis in relation to Germany only? So if you look at this chart, he's talking about France, the United Kingdom, and Italy are all priced to pay higher electricity prices than Germany in December of 2022. So if you take a look at this, Germany is actually the yellow line right here. Italy is pretty much in line with them. But if you look at UK, their energy price, euro in megawatt hours, is exploding. But take a look at France here in the orange line. It's almost twice as much as the next lowest person, actually 3 times as much as the next lowest country. So Germany is the industrial center of Europe, but other European countries depend on natural gas more. Energy prices rising hurts the entire European Union, but if Germany goes down, the backbone of the EU crumbles. So obviously, when one domino falls, you can see that the European Central Bank may not have much hiking runway. So this is a metric published by Joe Consorti on TradingView. That's my research analyst. This is the European fear gauge. So you have the Italian 10-year yield, the German 10-year yield. The higher the borrowing costs for the more fragile European Union nations get, the more likely we see a pivot to loose monetary policy. You can see this happening in 2012. You can see this happening in 2018, last time the American markets crashed before Cerveza, and then in 2020, Cerveza right here. So hiking the policy rate while tightening its balance sheet, this could actually make money too expensive. It could potentially bankrupt borrowers or make it very difficult to service their debts, especially if they don't have derivatives contracts in place, meaning that they're buying energy now with future prices, if you will, or buying future prices now with today's dollars, and that could send Europe into a crisis when it's already facing record energy shortages. So we're already seeing the warning signs occurring. So as always, this is not a fear-mongering channel. I'm just reporting stuff that's going on in the world. I'm not selling you precious metals via a 1-800 number. So how could you actually position yourself? So this is Joe's piece of feedback here, short the euro. If you've been following the euro and dollar one-to-one parity, meaning that the dollar is becoming very strong, euro is becoming somewhat weaker. In my lifetime, I haven't really seen the euro weaker than the dollar, maybe like when it first came into existence, maybe 20 or so years ago. But I travel to Europe, very frequently. I have a lot of family over there, and this is the first time that I've seen it one-to-one as an adult. So while the euro has already weakened significantly against the dollar, having to pivot to credit expansion and monetary easing to stave off this energy crisis should weaken it further. Number 2, this is my piece of feedback. I'd be hesitant on energy-sensitive or energy-dependent companies. Again, if they're not hedged with derivatives or some sort of futures contracts, corporations are hurt financially due to difficult or unserviceable borrowing costs with the already massive energy price inflation, as we saw in the previous slide. And then this last one is a little bit more philosophical than anything. Energy is life. If you think about, when humans first came into existence, we always, from an agricultural standpoint, you move where water is, big bodies of water, rivers, things like that. However, let's not forget that our ability to harness, I'm verifying Microsoft Outlook. Okay, thank you. Our ability to harness energy in its most immediate, efficient form is the bedrock of civilization. Europe/Germany is in a grim situation right now, specifically because they ignored this fact. So as always, let's get into my thoughts for this video. So typically, I have a monitor over here to my left, and I have like 2 or 3 bullet points written out just so I have a way of concluding these videos in a logical, comprehensive way. I don't have any bullet points for this video, just because if you've been following geopolitics or EU energy policy or the pipelines like Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2 for any number of years now, you could see this coming from a mile away. The EU is becoming or has become too energy dependent on certain actors, such as Russia in this example, who can easily say, hey, I'm Gazprom, I have to repair this pipeline, I'm shutting down your gas supply, right? Obviously, that's an oversimplified analogy just for the end of this video, but the whole point of this video is to show you that you need to be energy independent for the most part as a sovereign nation, because you don't want to be beholden to other countries on the whim of a decision of a certain political leader, for example. So what are your thoughts down below? I want to hear two points. So I have a lot of viewers that are in the United States. I think it's about 75% of you, 80% of you are in the States. The rest are basically in Europe, overseas, and Australia for the most part. What are your thoughts on nuclear energy? And then what are your thoughts on being energy independent and dependent? And then also let's hear your thoughts on renewable energy as well. I think renewable energy obviously has to become the future one way or another, whether it's through legislation or morals or virtues, if you will. But at some point, people have to realize that oil, gas, not so much coal anymore, still creates and provides a lot of energy for the world. So what are your thoughts down below? As always, I hope you got value out of this video. Check out the waiting list for Whiteboard Finance University down below. That is my school. It's going to be filled with a number of different subjects taught by subject matter experts for a very small monthly fee. I think it's going to be a ton of value, and you're also going to be able to get on live streams with me once a week for about an hour. I'm an open book on all of those. So thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a prosperous day.